We're good to go? Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Well, then I'll call it to order at 6 o'clock. Roll call, Jenny.
Dave,
Here.
Ben,
Here.
Matt,
Here.
No one online. Michelle, I take it. No one else participating. You're muted, Michelle.
Apparently pressing the space bar doesn't always work.
Okay.
Okay, no, there's
Just us?
nobody,
Okay.
nobody that
all
I
right.
can see.
Okay. Motion to accept the minutes from the June finance meeting.
So moved.
Second.
That.
you want me to call the vote or do you want to do all in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
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 Financial reports.
Okay. Before I forget, I just wanted to tell you, and Michelle can probably help with this. Rich sent an email this afternoon saying that the bid opening for Orchard Street is this Friday at 4. And he would like to get award legislation for this Tuesday's council meeting. Michelle said that if that finance is tonight, and if the finance committee recommends awarding a bid based on Rich's recommendation, then that should do. And also he would send a letter of recommendation. So I guess the finance committee should decide if they want to recommend awarding the bid based on Rich's recommendation. And if so, we maybe should do a motion. What do you think, Michelle?
Yes, that's what I had in mind.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll make that motion.
Are we going to have an opportunity to review Rich's recommendation?
When I receive it, I will forward it out to everybody with the proposed legislation. He said the earliest they could have it would be Monday and the meeting's Tuesday. So certainly if they don't get it to me Monday, they'll get it to me sometime Tuesday, which will give you vast numbers of minutes to review it.
Vast numbers. That's okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing I was going to tell you about is a situation that came about through the water sewer billing program. Marianne said when somebody overpays their bill, it just goes into water. Like this guy came in and just slammed $500 on his water bill for whatever reason. He just pays like that. And some people will round up, you know, instead of $104.50, they just pay $105. Anyway, that overage always goes to the water fund. And then at the end of the month, she does kind of a reconciliation type of report that puts everything where it really belongs once the billing is done. Because of course that isn't all water, it's sewer and capital improvements too.
Okay.
So when she does that, that has never, ever come to me to adjust in the UAN. So our UAN amounts for the water and sewer and water capital and sewer capital are not actually correct. So she gave me the reports and all the adjustments going back to the beginning of the year, but we couldn't go further than that. The UAN just doesn't let me adjust it beyond that. But I went back to January 1st and adjusted every receipt that people had paid ahead. And there's quite a few people that do that, like around 15 or so every month, which I guess that's not really a lot, but it does.
Around how much?
About 15 people pay ahead.
Oh, okay.
So it isn't really a lot, but for me, it was very time consuming because I had to find their payment, and things like, well, anyway, what I wanted to say is for this year alone, after doing the adjustments, which is going to show up as July 1st. So it's not on your financial report this month, but it actually reduced the water fund by 8,000 and it added 7,000 to the sewer fund, 900 to water capital improvement and 100 to sewer capital improvement. So I think the only way to, keep our funds true is we're going to have to do this going forward. And I called Garrettsville to see if they, because they have the same software, how they handle that. And they said that they simply don't allow people to pay ahead like that because, for them, everything goes to sewer. For us, it goes to water. But anyway, it's just an unusual situation that came about. So anyway, that's all I had as far as that. I just wanted to let you know about it because it's unusual.
Okay, so if that continues to happen in the future, what's the process you're following?
Oh, every month when she does the billing and everything is correct, then she'll send me a report of all the people that did that, and I'll go to their receipt and reallocate it in the UAN program.
Okay. But that's
So-
a manual process for you.
Yes. But, if I do it every month, it won't be that big of a thing. And I'm sure that as we do this more and more, we're going to come up with, little ways that are going to make it easier. So,
Okay.
all right. And
It is odd that people are doing that, though.
well, you know what? I do that with my electric bill. I pay extra all
do
year
you?
long because in the wintertime, we have an all electric home. In the wintertime, I would have, $300 or $400 electric
I
bills.
see what you mean. Okay.
So I just kind of sort of like budget billing,
Yeah, okay. All right.
Today is tax day.
Yeah,
so
I know. That's what I did all day today. I wrapped up at like 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh, wow. Well, hopefully August 1st, I'll have good news, that we're going to be closer to being on track. I don't have
Mhm.
the tax numbers yet, but I'll have those for the council meeting like I did last month if you want them. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions on the financial reports. Anybody want to go over anything?
No, thank you for refreshing my memory and what that big expense was. The semi-annual debt, because I saw that on there. And it didn't trigger my brain in regard to what that payment was.
Well, that was just the OWDA payment for the,
Yeah.
the sewer plants and stuff. But
Yep.
the OPWC, Ohio Public Works Commission loans, they would not allow us to pay those. They said they would refuse any payments because they don't have anybody working in the office. So
Hmm.
they're just going to completely extend everybody's loan by 6 months. Or I think we have an opportunity to pay the full amount in December, which is what I would prefer to do, because we have the money set aside every month anyway.
Yeah. And how much did we get? He said, thank you, HB 481. How much was that again that we got?
Oh, let's see.
Was
We
it
got
60?
$64,285.
Do we have any idea how much of that we can, that we have eligible expenses for?
Well, Joe and I were talking about that, and we really weren't coming up with a whole lot. I mean, if we hired somebody
Yeah.
to go around and doing the sanitizing and things like that, and if we buy the machine, and there's a few things that we can come up with, but in my opinion, the more we're able to give back to the state, the better it would be for the big picture. It's nice for us to get a bunch of money dropped in our lap, but we've got a serious crisis. And I feel like the schools are going to need more money. And, I just don't want to dig around grabbing straws to find any reason we can to spend that money. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, certainly everything we do is going to be above board, but I know you had mentioned about the potential shortfall in terms of income tax, based upon people potentially being out of work, that we might suffer a dip in those revenues this year. And you thought that some of the money could be used to compensate us for that. Is that true?
No.
No?
We can't use it to make up for lost revenues.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're just out of luck.
Okay.
But luckily, our losses aren't huge. So
Yeah.
far.
Okay. Nothing else for me on the financial reports. Ben or Matt?
No.
No, sir. Nothing stuck out to me.
Okay. Motion to move the financial reports to council.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
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 And anything on the bills of resolution?
Yeah, I got one little quick question. It's probably simple. But on this Delta Thomas Trail, an overpayment for mowing of $6,900. What is that about? Just curious.
Which number is that? Oh, Delia Thompson Trust.
Yeah.
Remember last month when Linda said that we had been overpaid by the trust for the number of mows that we did, and council recommended paying the trust back that money?
Okay.
Or letting them know. Linda wrote a letter to the trustee, and he would like that money back. So
All right.
that's what that is.
Okay, fine. I'm all right. That's good. Jog my poor little old memory. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I didn't have anything.
Motion moved bills of resolution to council.
Second.
Ah.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, legislation ordinance 2020-26, an ordinance authorizing certain adjustments to the 2020 appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Would you like me to go over this one?
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
Okay. The $25,000 increase in the general fund. Is that me with back noise?
Sounds like it.
Oh,
It's not real bad though.
okay. That is for the police phone bills. We're out of money in the police phone appropriations. The cemetery, that 3720 is how much we need to make a PO for the Coit Trust that we closed in 2009, and there was money left on it. That 3920 is what we need to make a purchase order for that, and then we'll just, any expenses will come off of that PO to track it. The coronavirus money has to be appropriated. I just did the whole thing because whether we spend it or not, we want to make sure it's available. Then we need to increase sewer operating by 80,000 because we've increased the fees. We can spend more. We're going to be paying for EnviroLink and things like that. So we needed more money for that. And then water capital improvement, 57,000. That is our increase in water capital fees. And we could either put that towards the purchase of the meters or have it for some other thing on the needs list. So that's what all those increases are for.
Okay, I guess I'll ask the chief about the $25,000 need for phone, because it's crazy.
I don't know what happened. I mean, that phone bill is around 50,000 a year now.
I don't know what's going on with her. I mean, that's been a long-standing problem.
Well, he does bill back money from the fire department, and he gets about $1,000 a month back, but that doesn't come off the bill. We still have to appropriate the full amount just to be able to cut the check, and then we do get that little bit reimbursed.
Okay, well, we'll talk more about it at council, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, and then ordinance 2020-27, an ordinance amending various sections of the Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code of the Village of Mantua in order to permit proration of the monthly minimum water and sewer charges and the monthly capital improvement charges and declaring an emergency. Just looking through these.
I got a little question. I got my water and sewer bill this past month, and I had a $2 charge for sewer. And now I see I'm going to vote on a $2 charge, a fixed charge, and is this an additional $2 or is it the same $2? Does anybody know?
It's the same. We're just trying to clear up because the software program prorates daily, and our original ordinance was monthly, a $2 a month fee. But with the prorating it daily, sometimes that changes. It's just paying that.
Prorating $2 a day. That's a tough one. All right, I got it.
Okay, ordinance 2020-28. agreement for the purchase of salt for the city of Ravenna, 701 Oakwood Street, Ravenna. Pretty standard there. Ordinance 2020-29, ordinance accepting permanent sanitary sewer easements from Compass Realty, David Pepper and Scott and Josephine Valentine, and declaring an emergency.
Pretty sure those are all related to the Orchard Street project, aren't
Yeah,
they, Michelle?
They're related to the sewer collapse that was an emergency in the Compass parking lot.
Oh, okay.
We had to kind of hold off on it until we could get the easements.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Jenny remembered these easements when she was collecting stuff for drain, and I found that we hadn't actually formally accepted them. So here you go.
Okay. And the last two are tied in together. Ordinance 2020-30, amending chapter 504 of the zoning ordinances of the Village of Mantua relating to the authority of the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals to waive fees. And similarly, 2020-31, amending chapter 610 of the zoning ordinance relating to the authority of the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals to waive fees.
That is not a correct title. I thought I corrected that. It's corrected on the,
Yeah, the second one wasn't waive fees. It was the number of
the second, okay.
wasn't it the number of copies and
Yeah, when I first sent it,
20,
Jenny, how did you
31
get-
should be relating to site plan review submittals.
right, isn't that what yours says? The one on the website says site plan review submittals.
No, it doesn't say that on our agenda.
Oh.
Yeah, I read the ordinance from the agenda, so it's just it wasn't filled in properly on the agenda, but it's
Well-
right on the actual piece of legislation.
The actual piece of legislation is amending chapter 610 of the zoning ordinances relating to site plan review submittals.
Correct. Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Sorry. I had initially used the same legislation and didn't change the title until revision number 2, which I thought I caught quick enough, but apparently not quite quick enough.
Well, there's a certain resident of the community will be so glad to know that their feedback in regard to 14 copies being required is now resulting in this legislation coming before us. So it makes some people very happy. If in fact it's passed.
This is only for single family residential projects, commercial, and if somebody wanted to do a development of residential, those would
Yep.
still require paper copies.
So this ordinance only means that they're cutting back the number of 14 copies. Is that what this ordinance is?
Right,
last
some of
one.
them can be electronic.
I tried to get that done 15 years ago.
Well, here we are.
Yeah, finally. It costs money to make all them copies.
Mhm. Okay, anything more on legislation?
I just have just a few quick questions. This is, again, just for my knowledge. First question is probably due to my ignorance of process and procedure, but why are a lot of these declared as an emergency?
Okay, emergency legislation goes into effect immediately, whereas non-emergency legislation goes into effect 30 days after passage.
Okay.
So it's just basically, I know emergency is a really strong word to use,
Yeah,
but it is basically just so to have the effect of being in immediate effect as opposed to waiting a month.
okay, that's cool, understood. All right, regarding the salt purchase, like what normally happens there? Is this an annual thing that we have to write this out? Or is this a complete change from something that we used to do?
No, it's just
Oh.
kind of a renewal type thing.
Same thing
Yeah,
every year.
an annual thing.
Okay, so have we been getting it from 701 Oakwood Street in Ravenna basically every single year?
Last year or two, a couple of
Many
years ago, we
years.
got it from ODOT.
Okay.
Right. I'm
Okay.
not sure why they eliminated the ODOT Salt Consortium this year. Previous years it has been. It could be that because last winter, this is just speculation, could be that last winter was so mild that they had so much extra that they're just not gonna have to get as much from ODOT, so they didn't put it in the agreement. Again, I don't know that for sure, but I noticed that difference this year.
All right, and just really quick, 2030 for having, giving zoning the authority to waive the fees. Like what brought that, on? Was there an event that happened, or is this something that's been a discussion for a long time or something? Like what's the history behind this one?
I think, and I could be wrong, but was that prompted by the mural?
As far as I know, yes,
Okay,
because they found it to be,
yeah, so murals, for example, Matt, were listed as signage, and as a result, there were associated fees with doing something like a mural. So there was a little pushback from folks who were doing murals, wondering why they would have to fall under the same legislation as signage. And I guess this ordinance then would just give the planning commissioner or zoning appeals permission to waive fees in certain circumstances.
Why don't they just change the ordinance? Make an amendment to it.
that's what this is doing.
That's what this is doing.
This is giving, it doesn't address murals specifically because that would be unconstitutional, but it does give planning commission or BZA some discretion if it's, for instance, a 501c3 making an application rather than a private individual to reduce some of the fees on them.
Still should change the ordinance, amend it. I disagree with you, Michelle.
Which part?
The part that it's a constitutional thing.
It's unconstitutional for us to differentiate between different kinds of signs.
No, we can do that. I just disagree with you, Michelle. That's all. Let's don't argue about it. I don't want to argue about it. I just disagree with you.
I'm curious why that wouldn't go through council. Like service committee can't waive penalties or late fees or anything like that. Has to go through council.
That's true. I think the only significant difference is because the revised code says that council has to set the rates for water and sewer, but it doesn't say anything about delegating discretion on zoning fees. Certainly council does not have to pass this. It's just a recommendation from planning.
Yeah.
That's good because I'm not going to agree with it. It should all, money should go through council.
I agree with that.
I do too.
Well, then I guess we'll see what happens on Tuesday.
Yep.
Well, this one probably should go 3 readings. I don't think fees actually have to have a public hearing, but usually anything to do with the zoning code does end up with a public hearing and 3 readings. So you will have ample time to discuss it.
Okay. All right, under discussions, new chipper. What's that about?
Dave is very, very frustrated. Their chipper breaks every single time they use it. And we have looked into buying used ones. We've looked into getting one from Davey Tree, who really beats their chippers up. Anyway, to get a good one that meets all the new safety restrictions and things like that is going to be about $32,000. And John and I agree that it's time for them to get some decent equipment. And right now we do have some unappropriated money in the general fund, which would be the tree care is in the general fund. And then it's possible that we might be able to ask the trust, since they do a lot of chipping at the cemetery, we might be able to get the trust to pitch in since they've been generous about that in the past. But anyway, it's something that they'll probably need to talk about at service as well. But we need to start talking about if it can we could even probably finance it through Middlefield, but I do feel like we have the money for it. And it's important that, I mean, that's a dangerous piece of equipment. And
Yeah.
you really need to have good, safe stuff for them. But
And we chip from what, May to October? That's a lot of chipping.
they do use it a lot. And he says every single time that they bring it in, they have to repair it. So
Well, they were chipping today.
Yeah, think of the time that they spend doing that too. You know, that's time is money.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know that from what I've looked at, I feel like we could afford it.
Okay. All right, then what do you have about the coronavirus relief money?
Well, we kind of talked about that already, but Michelle, do you know if we have an official? I know you emailed us something that kind of a guide of what the money can be used for, but I don't know that that was official yet.
Oh gosh, which ones do I have here? Let's see. I have, hang on here. CARES Act funding guidelines. I have updated federal CARES Fund FAQ. The guidelines, I think, are the official one. Then the FAQ kind of interprets it. So, I mean, the guidelines are out there for sure, but there's so many questions about interpretations. I think that's where the FAQ come in.
But we could use it to hire somebody for maybe 20 hours a week to go around sanitizing the park and the mini park and our building and maybe
Yeah.
the park lodge and things like that.
I think the language is if their duties are substantially related to remediation or COVID-19 related duties, that they can be hired out of this money. So a person definitely, if it's an employee, yes.
What is the what's the deadline date for those funds?
Whatever we don't use by the end of the year has to go back to the county. Then the
By the
county
end of this, okay.
of this year. At least that's the last I had heard. That could change.
If you want me to, I can see if I can whip through this real quick and see. Funding period, March 1 to December 30th, yes.
Okay.
Cover costs incurred between March 1 and December 30th.
Okay. So if we hired someone whose job was to clean the mini park and clean the public park and clean blah blah blah, those monies could only be used for those hours through December 31st. And then if we wanted them to continue doing it beyond that, we would have to continue paying that person out of our own revenue.
Yes.
Provided there's no additional legislation to
Okay.
authorize the use of these funds. Yeah, I mean, if this thing keeps going on, there's probably going to be more money coming down. But right now, they're only doing it, you know, a certain amount at a time because we don't know what the future holds.
Right. Okay. Anything more on that from anybody?
No.
I wanted to follow up on when we were talking last month about Madeline, and was Marianne supposed to be providing us, because Matt and I both asked for a detail of the overage, underage, and what that actually netted out to. Jenny, do you know if that analysis was ever done?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Is that
I don't know
something
if
I should follow
anybody-
up with Marianne about?
I don't know. I assume that probably Linda told her, but I didn't tell her to do anything.
Okay, I'll just send Marianne a note and ask.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
Have you got a couple of thousand I can have?
Couple thousand?
Yeah.
I just did my taxes today. No.
Rat.
No. I was going to ask you. Well, the motion to adjourn at 6:29.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Ah.
Aye, aye, aye.
Aye.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right. See you
Yeah,
Tuesday.
y'all have a good
Take care,
evening.
everybody.
Hey, Dave, it's chicken and rice.